There's a 73-second clip out from, is it the Bill Simmons podcast? I think it is. And Cody Rhodes replied to a question saying why he left AEW, essentially. You watched the video, you've got the quotes in front of you. Would you like to read them out and dissect them, or would you like me to read the quotes out first?
I'll read the quotes. I'll give you a little bit of a break here. So in the 73-second clip seen below, Rhodes replied to a question not on the video, saying there's clearly bad blood, but there's also clearly respect and love. Rhodes said that's the way he sees it. If he was ever disrespected at WWE, that's one thing, equating the company to the New York Yankees of Major League Baseball, an established brand where he's a number on a spreadsheet.
Isn't that weird that you say, well, WWE can disrespect me, but not AEW? Isn't that a weird thing to say?
Not to me, Chris, making the money sign. He's in a punk. It feels like a punk quote, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's another quote. But feeling disrespected, it's something I built with my friends that we built. Feeling disrespected there, I wouldn't stand for it, he said. I think with Brandi and I both, I'm so blessed to have her. It was one of those where it was like, F it. I did way more here than you think, and you're going to find out the moment I'm out the door. Now, here's the thing. Do you think it's partially he was disrespected? And do you think another part of that, since he mentioned her name, that Brandi was disrespected as well?
I don't know if I've got a theory, but I think a lot of the issues stem around Brandi Rhodes. Wasn't she head of the women's division in AEW?
They had the Heels pay subscription website. She was the chief Brandi officer, Brandi, not branding. And her time, her on air and her maybe contribution into the company was scaled down over time towards the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
That told a bigger story to me, mentioning her name right in the middle of being disrespected and mentioning both of them. That's my interpretation. If you can, my Philly accent's going to kick in. If you can continue the quote, please.
I don't believe in the cold-hearted, backstabby type of revenge. The greatest revenge on earth is success, and I felt like we were sitting on something wonderful, something great, a huge potentially with what I was doing with the American Nightmare as a bad guy, as a good guy, something in between. We're sitting on something magic, and if I'm not doing to do it in the house, I literally, with Matt Jackson, Kenny Omega, and Nick Jackson built, then buddy, I'm going elsewhere. After helping found AEW, Rhodes and his wife Brandi announced in early 2022 that they were leaving. He eventually signed, he being Cody Rhodes, with WWE and debuted at that year's WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. Both he and Tony Khan have been relatively quiet about the circumstances surrounding the exit. Just before we get off the Brandi thing, do you think the whole disrespect to Brandi, Cody's wife, is based on all right, let's just get it out there. She was a Nepo hire. Clearly a Nepo hire, because she hadn't really done much in wrestling at all. She'd been in Ring of Honor a little bit. I think maybe she was training with WWE for a short time. But I mean, like, to go from that to then, like, one of the most important positions in AEW, that must have, and this is pure speculation, of course, but this must have sowed some seeds of resentment.
Yeah, and she came out with him in Impact when they worked together in there as well. So she's been an on-camera, on-screen part of his act as long as he's been away from WWE. It's a hard question to answer. I would dare say, too, that Cody seems to be the most qualified business-wise to have a vision for this. But I think everybody around him, including Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, they weren't Nepo hires, but they were buddy hires to be put as executives while they were full-time wrestlers. Really, really weird stuff.
The conflict of interest, you could say.
Very much a conflict of interest. And then there was a conflict within the conflict of interest where the people in the executives didn't see eye to eye, and then Cody seen one vision, Kenny and the Bucks saw another. So there was infighting there with the vision and how it should go. But the Brandi stuff was definitely, I mean, dude, we love our wives. We want our lives to be wives to have successful careers and businesses and do everything to help them. But yeah, this, with her being put in that position and being kind of shoved down people's throats, she instantly became a heel to the fans in AEW.
It's interesting, I think, that Brandi, I mean, obviously they've got a small child together. I mean, you know, I know how that goes, and someone needs to be home. But I thought it was interesting that WWE, apart from maybe at WrestleMania 40, Brandi briefly came out to celebrate with Cody at WrestleMania 40 when he won the title. I think I'm right in saying that.
Well, didn't she come out at 41 with him on the entrance and then went to the back?
If I mean, that's basically it, is what I'm saying. WWE didn't hire her back. And I was always wondering, was that one of the caveats that having Brandi in a prominent position was a problem for other women in the company kind of thing? Like it might have been in AEW? Once again, pure speculation.
I don't know. Or WWE already has all that, or they're in a different place in their life. They have a child. That's obviously, they have the tour bus, so she was in WWE Unreal on the tour bus with him before the match, so she could be more present than we realized, but not a part of the company. This is the tricky part because we're talking about it in the business sense, but once again, that's his wife. So he's going to be very protective. So we're not saying anything about that. We're looking at it, speculation about why did you leave? Now, if somebody disrespected my wife in a company, and even if I was happy, I'd probably leave. I'd be like, I'm done. Bye. Go somewhere else. If I'm going to be disrespected, then I might as well get a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, for good money, absolutely. There's one thing that he says with Matt and Kenny and Nick, he mentions, but the thing is, I'm pretty sure I've heard an interview with Kenny Omega suggest something. I'm pretty sure he said maybe it was on a Twitch stream when he was out, you know, with the diverticulitis, and he said he wouldn't have hired 80% of the people in AEW currently. So I almost think that, you know, Kenny Omega's got his own standards as well that aren't being met.
Wait, he said he wouldn't even employ 80% of the people currently on the show?
Something like that, yeah. He said, I wouldn't have hired most of the people in this company, which is an amazing thing to say. That was a while ago. So once again, you know, Cody is saying he saw AEW in some sort of vein, whether it's, you know, more of an old school NWA, you know, more of a homage to the, you know, Turner Wrestling shows of decades past. And the Young Bucks saw it a PWG way, I don't know, and then Kenny Omega might have seen it the Young Bucks way, or might have seen it Cody's way, or might have seen it a completely different way.
So we got way. So between all that, we got WCW Nitro.
Basically, yeah, you've got a melting pot. But it's funny. I wonder where Kenny sits with all of this, which we'll probably never find out until maybe years later, if we ever do. Is who he saw as the stars, who he saw as people who shouldn't have been in the company, the EVPs he got along with, the EVPs he didn't, or at least shared a vision with. Because you seem to have basically 4 completely divergent opinions.
Yeah, you don't want your executives, like, you know, this reminds me of the booking committee scenario. Everybody's got something. That's why the Vince McMahon and maybe even the Triple H, good, bad, or indifferent, at least there's a singular vision guiding the company. When it's like this, and then you have all the guys, by the way, they're all full-time workers. So there's a huge conflict of interest there. And I don't have any answers, but man, these AEW urban legends and mysteries just keep growing and growing and growing. And we're not going to find out until, God forbid, when the company is basically defunct or bought out by WWE. Then you're going to see the rise and fall of AEW. And then all the good that WWE did during the time. It's going to be so much propaganda.
Cody has said in a past interview, it was not an issue with talent in AEW, nor was it an issue with the money. Now, once again, there was rumors just being... He's very specifically saying disrespect. And then, you know, you said rightly that he also mentioned Brandi in the same sentence, his wife. So we don't know if it's disrespect to him. We don't know if it's disrespect to her and, you know, he's sticking up for her, or both in different ways. What I'll say is I found it really, really odd that almost straight away in AEW, Cody Rhodes is the most visible in the States as far as the 4 EVPs who are going in. Probably only second to Chris Jericho, who ended up being the first AEW champion. You know, he was the biggest name on the roster pretty much at that point. Why would he go through a stipulation where he absolutely could not win the world title under any circumstances? That one seemed to just kill his intrigue straight away for me. Like, why would you ever go through with that?
He was in a totally unwinnable situation as a character on TV. Because I think in a promo, he literally turned around to to the crowd behind where the hard camera faces and said, I'm never turning heel. Because they were trying to turn him heel. And after that loss for the title shot, there was nowhere else to go to keep him interesting, right? He would have to turn heel. My theory or my guess here is that was his way of going out by putting someone over, and he already knew he was leaving. Because how could you salvage it except to turn heel, go back on your word, break the stipulation, and win the world title?
Yeah, there's like 18 months of that. So all that people said was, well, how's he going to get around this stipulation? It's wrestling. No one ever believes that you're going to stick to a stipulation, which is admirable to a point that he would and has and did. But then I just don't understand why you'd hamstring your character. I mean, basically, you should be the face of the company, or Cody should be the face of the company by that time.
It's just a weird thing, because when I look back at that, or I listen to the words in my mind that he said, I'm almost just like he's checked out. He felt like he checked out at that point. And that's what I'm saying. What was the battle backstage? There's been rumors that Tony Khan's a nice guy, but he doesn't listen. And maybe Cody got to a point where if I do this match, I know I'm making the decision to eventually leave the company. And it just felt like, dude, think about it. The Cody Rhodes and the promos he cut as a babyface in AEW are exactly like the ones in WWE, except the fans constantly turned on him in AEW and thought he was completely inauthentic. And he went to WWE and became massively over and loved as a true babyface with the same exact promos, same exact character, same exact presentation. I don't get it.
When he talks about disrespect, maybe he means fan disrespect?
That's what I'm trying to think.
But then you're a wrestler. Whether you get booed, as long as they're making noise. Or is there a different kind of boo that really hits you? You know, like the Charlotte thing recently. There was, once again, WWE Unreal, the mockumentary, as you say, is like, she got rattled. And it was obvious she got rattled, and she couldn't handle it. And I'm wondering, did Cody get rattled? The AEW fans, or, you know, any wrestling fans who were terminally online, did he read too much into what they were saying? Did he get rattled by him and wanted a fresh coat of paint?
Well, that could be, it's tough. But then again, when you turn around and tell the fans, I'm never going to turn heel, Philly accent. If you say that, we live in a very, against the grain society. If you tell us to cheer, we're going to boo. If you tell us to boo, we're going to cheer. So if he says, I'm never going to turn heel, the fans quite possibly will have no reaction to him and disconnect from him. You've literally said that. And let's face it, Cody is Homelander. I'm suspecting, I'm just saying this for the SummerSlam review show. I just have this weird feeling that Cody, they're going to do a double turn at SummerSlam or somewhere soon and have John Cena go out as a champion, as a babyface, or Cody's going to be a heel and he's going to strap that rocket and vanquish Cena away from WWE.
Man, how could Cody vanquish Cena from WWE without Travis Scott?
You know, it's funny. Maybe now Travis Scott aligns himself with Cody and slaps Cena in there.
You see, now that would be the one thing that would be worth bringing him back.
To do that callback?
Sense. Yeah, that'd be a great callback if they did it. Two more things to mention of this, then we'll shut
Oh,
down
did you like, by the way, Travis Scott and Gorilla? They're hugging him, telling him what a great job he did. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, good job, little buddy.
That proved how fake it was. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
That was, dude, that's when he ruined WrestleMania.
Yeah. What if that was just another wrestler and Bruce Pritchard and Triple H and everything? Would they have been saying, great job, man? They treat the celebrities like demigods there, don't they? They're so desperate for the rub.
That proves how phony and two-faced this entire business and that company is. Because you see Chris Parks and you see the celebrities and you see the top guys and you can see the wheels turning. How do I act towards this person? How do I act to this? It's exhausting.
A couple more things about Cody. We'll shut down. EVP. Is it just... And I still think it is to a point. It's like they've had to go in storyline that the Young Bucks have lost their EVP status. Because I don't think knowing that an active wrestler is an executive vice president of a company is a good look that you can... It's hard to turn your brain off to that fact. And then in the first couple of years, Cody, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, everybody else, it was all friends wrestling, was the joke. And then 3 years in 2022, CM Punk gets there, Eddie Kingston falls out with Sammy Guevara, backstage fights happening constantly, then apparently it's not all friends wrestling anymore, it's every other wrestling company there ever was. But that being said, with Cody in AEW and the rest of them in AEW, they're an executive vice president, they're pulling the strings. Is that hard to suspend your disbelief?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely, because the only analogy I have from an independent wrestling promotion standpoint is when the promoter puts the belt on himself, the promoter has his friends on the show, he's pushing them, even though there's better talent on the indies, it's all friends wrestling, and he's making those people like GMs of the show, and this person's the booker, and this, it's no different. It's indie wrestling with TV and a lot of money. The ego and the arrogance and to think that I draw money, but they don't draw money and all that, you know what I mean? That's where it gets, and don't get it twisted. By the way, there's people in the locker room, even on the indie level, people have never been anywhere looking at this going, oh yeah, she really earned the position. Oh yeah, the Young Bucks can book a show. That's what happens in a locker room.
Do you think there was a personal fallout with Tony Khan? And if you do think that, do you think it was just over general creative direction or something else?
Based on what I've heard and based on what I've seen, Cody was treated very well financially. Cody and Brandi and everybody in that level were paid very well. They could have been multimillionaires just staying in AEW. They were given a lot of perks, a lot of benefits, a lot of things that Tony offered. I'm sure Tony was a true friend to them in a lot of ways, taking care of them. But with that being said, take a drink. Tony does not listen. Tony clearly doesn't listen to the Jerry Lynn's, the Arn Andersons, the Dean Malenkos, the Serena Deebs, or anybody else that knows a lot that can offer and better the product. And then you have the gatekeepers of the Bucks, Kenny and Cody, that they need to dance around to get to Tony. Then you have within the EVPs different visions where Tony's not listening maybe to anybody, James, not listening to anybody. And then Cody's saying, no. And I'd say this, Cody probably looked at it like a business decision, and I think Tony took it very personally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Do you know that AEW has production meetings now? After over 5.5 years, they finally started doing production meetings. You mean after they said
nobody writes scripts on anything, we just go out there and do it?
Yes. The other thing that I think is funny as well is that Tony actually gave an interview 2-3 months ago, wherever it was. It almost seems like a trade show where he was being interviewed. He said he does, probably before the production meetings anyway, he asked opinions of, this subset of people, the agents, and then the EVPs or whoever else it might be, his inner circle. And they said, but I pretty much just do what I want. I might take 10 or 15% of other people, but then I'll just do what I want anyway. For the most part.
Then why bother asking?
Yeah, exactly. So, but once again, I think at least having production meetings now is the first step to, a more cohesive television
let me push back. Why would you have production meetings? One-on-one, you're not going to listen to what I have to say. You're going to feel cornered. You're going to feel less than, and you're going to do whatever you want anyway. In a public setting with multiple agents, coaches, maybe talent, EVPs, and Tony Khan, he's not going to listen. This is all performative. The production meetings in WWE are performative. Everything we saw on Unreal is performative. It's not real. It's just, why are we wasting time? Just tell us Triple H is going to do whatever he wants to do. Let us enjoy our hours where we don't have to sweat about this. Like Adam Pearce said, I got to go through all these performative motions, and they're going to do whatever they want anyway.